Good morning.
Good morning. So here we are. So today we thought we would talk about mindset because actually through a couple of different newsletters that I get, there was a lot of discussion around how February was a tough month for a lot of people in a lot of different areas. Especially if you're a business and trying to get your customers, whether it's B2B customers or B2C customers, it was very difficult. People were spending less and they were noticing a trend that was dropping. There was a slump, their engagement was down and everything. And that can really kick ass in your mindset.
So what you're saying is February was a terrible month to launch like I did.
But you didn't know that, right? So whatever. That just means it's all up here from here, right?
100%, man. Lessons learned, changes made. Like we're good.
Okay, so
but it is so easy to fall into that negative mindset trap when things aren't going the way you want. So I love today's topic.
Absolutely. So I figured that this was a good time to talk about that. So your mindset, I mean, we hear that term a lot, and it's not just a buzzword. It really is, it's pretty vital, whether it's business or even just in your day-to-day. It's really the deliberate cultivation of thoughts and beliefs and attitudes to whatever you're doing. The reason that it's important is because how you think is going to direct how you respond, and how you respond is going to affect how things move forward for you, whether it's to a challenge or to a success. So your mindset is pretty important.
Yeah.
All right. So with your ice wellness, that's actually one of the things that you are dealing with, right? Is part of it.
It is, yeah. That's one of the reasons we did the mantra, because there's people like me or my friend Spencer that we just get it and we're good. But there's a lot of people that get stuck in their head and psych themselves out and don't, they end up making it a bad experience before they even get in the ice. And so the mantras are designed to bring people back into their mind and away from the ice itself. And then once they're in the ice, actually experience it instead of trying to run away from it. So it's kind of a weird mix of get out of your head, but get in your head. But it helped people, get through it, because if they're listening to the mantra, they're focusing on that rather than the pain. Or people use music as well, and it's the same kind of thing. It's like getting your brain into that. This is a healing practice. This is a good thing, instead of just being like, this is gonna suck because it's cold.
It's pretty much me every time I go outside in the winter.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, to practice, it's mindfulness, right? So what you're doing is you're becoming more aware of your thoughts and how they're going to impact your behavior. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And it's quieting your monkey brain, right? Because your monkey brain's busy off doing a million things. It's like, ooh, shiny and this and that. And it grabs onto a thought and holds onto it. And then it can go in any direction. And so if you're focusing your thoughts, if you're more aware of your thoughts, then you have a better opportunity to remove certain thoughts. Or, I like to think of it as taking each thought is written down on a piece of paper, and I just mentally crumple that paper and toss it. And I will do that as many times as I need to help reduce that. Now that works for me, but that, whatever, something along those lines, something where you can just say that thought's not useful, toss it. Right.
Yeah. For me, it's more of the other inner voice is like, hey, you're being irrational. You're being negative. Stop it.
But don't forget to be nice to yourself. And that's a hard one, right?
That is a hard one.
So trying to identify your limiting beliefs is more like, those things that stop you from where you want to go. That's challenging. That's super challenging, because they're not always conscious thoughts. A lot of them are subconscious thoughts. A lot of those thoughts might have been given to you when you were growing up that you didn't even know. Like there's a lot of thoughts around money or success or capabilities. You don't necessarily know what all those thoughts are. A way that you can try to sort of narrow it down is to write a journal or even just list it out. Another trick you know how the bouncers used to have like the clicker? They would
Yeah.
count the number of people. Every time you have a negative thought, click, or on a piece of paper, write a tick. And because at first you won't notice it, right?
Mhm.
But when you start seeing that number go up, you're going to be a lot more aware of all those thoughts, and you're going to notice that number start to go down. It's actually a really interesting way to recognize how many thoughts you have in a day that go against your own wellness and go against your own success. Something simple like, I can't do that, or it's too hard, or I don't have time, or whatever it is that stops you from getting to where you want to be.
Yeah. My most frequent one is, why does it work for everyone but me?
And I mean, that's really easy to fall into that trap, because when we look around, we're constantly seeing people who appear to be in a state of success. But the thing is that online, we can appear to be anything.
Yep.
Right?
My sister back in the 90s said one time, she's like, I love the internet. On the internet, I'm 6'2", blonde hair, blue eyed. My sister is 5'5", brown hair, brown eyes. But on the internet, she could be whoever she wanted to be.
Absolutely. I mean, it's even like, okay, so before we started today, you asked me how I was doing, and I told you I'm in like a ton of pain, but you wouldn't notice that, right?
Yeah.
Because we're online and I don't really talk about that a whole ton. But, so it's easy to think, oh, they've got it all under control. And maybe they don't, and maybe they do. And also that is when, like you say, why can't they, or why can't I when they are? Part of changing that belief is they can, so can I.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a shift. That's a flip of the script, That's saying, oh, well, if they can do it, I can do it, instead of, well, why can they do it and I can't do it? I struggle with that too. It's pretty natural. I don't know that there's a lot of people that don't at least fall into that trap once in a while, even when you're really big.
Yeah, and then one of the things that's really going to help you, fall into that trap is not setting clear goals, right? Because if you don't know where you're going, if you don't have an actual goal, there's no way to measure if you're being successful or not, or if you need to readjust or not. So setting that clear goal is so important when it comes to mindset and just shifting your mindset to success mindset.
Yeah, and breaking down those goals too, because we always look at the end result. This is where I want to go. I want to lose 80 pounds. I want to run a marathon. I want to, okay, well, but let's start with the goals in between there. And that way you can measure your success and actually have moments of success, so that you're not constantly looking at where you want to be and where you are versus where you've been and where you are, right? Because we tend to look forward and not back at what, how far we've come, only how far we have left to go. And humans are not exactly set up for being really good to ourselves.
We are not, or each other, honestly. Like, we are wired very weird.
Yeah. And I mean, so it does take a lot of work to recalibrate that mindset. And even with a mindset, trying to recalibrate, again, goals, small goals, instead of, like, if you are a natural procrastinator, just work on making some small changes one at a time, so that, you get better at that. And then all of a sudden, that's not such a huge obstacle in your way. Right. And
Jess and I talk about SMART goals a lot, and for the life of me, I don't remember exactly what SMART stands for. Specific, measurable, realistic, actionable, and time-based. I can't remember it. We talk about that when it comes to finances as well. Instead of just being like, I want to go to Europe next year. Okay, that's great, but how are you going to get there? And then celebrating those small goals, right? Like, my goal is to have 1,000 subscribers in Ice Wellness by April. That's a pretty substantial goal, right? And so I'm working on the steps to help get it in front of the right people, right? Doing my adverts, making changes to my landing pages, like stuff I need to do there. Right now I'm working on more videos so I can get some video adverts going, because we know video adverts do really well. And, I can sit here and be like, well, it's the 1st of March. I don't have any subscribers. There's no way I'm going to get 1,000 in the month of March. I could do that, but I'm just going, no, this is what I'm doing to get to that 1,000 subscribers by April.
Yep. And I mean, April has, 30 days?
Yes, it does.
So it's not like you have to have them all by April 1st, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, these are little things. And that sort of leads into the, fostering self-compassion for, because we are very quick to just, you can't do it, or you're just dumb or whatever. And again, that goes back to, some of the beliefs that you were maybe given, as you were, throughout your time on this earth, and you've taken them in, because unfortunately the bouncer of our brain, from the conscious to the subconscious, lets in all the riffraff.
Yeah.
And we will take that in. We're much more likely to believe a negative thought than a positive thought. And I don't know if that's a self-preservation thing, if that's just something from an instinctual, we've got to make sure we're ourselves safe. But we're much more likely to take in a negative thought than a positive thought. And so positive thoughts require more effort to push past that bouncer in our brain. And then to get that bouncer to kick out the riffraff.
Must be why people love drama online.
I mean, partly when we watch things like Hoarders or, anything where it's just, it's a total shit show and we're just watching somebody's life implode. We do that because in part it makes us feel better. Well, we're not there. That's not, but instead of watching somebody else's life decline and going, well, at least I'm not there yet. We should be trying to fill our brains with people who are succeeding without the arrogance. Because I think that's important too, right? If you're following somebody who appears to be successful, but they're incredibly arrogant about it, that is really going to push you in a space where, you're like, why can't I do this? Or why am I not there? I'm not good enough. You want somebody who's humble and who is open to sharing that information and that knowledge and wanting to see you succeed, because that's a difference. That's a leader. Right? A leader wants to raise people up. So you want to find leaders that are going to help you get to that space, however that success looks for you.
For sure. And that can help you create and develop resilience, which we talk about a lot when it comes to just posting online, because trolls going to troll. My new favorite one is that I look like Nicolas Cage. So that was, So I had fun with it on Twitter or on TikTok. It was fine. But developing resilience, again, this is why we ice bath. This is why we talk about these kind of things, because there's going to be a lot of noise. You're going to get a lot of trolls. You're going to get a lot of naysayers. You're going to get a lot of just people who are unhappy, trying to make everybody else unhappy. And that's going to start to feed that into your brain as well. And so developing resilience, not only against your inner voice, but also the external factors that are going to be bombarding you, is super, super important.
Yeah. Sometimes people will say things and they may not even necessarily mean it in a mean way, but will receive it in a way that's, doesn't work properly.
I have that problem a lot.
And so being able to step back and look at a comment or hear a statement and just step back and go, that wasn't meant for me. I saw something the other day that was really good, where he said he got over the negativity of other people by thinking that, they're not necessarily being mean to me. I am creating them as a mean person, and their comment is coming to me based on my own personal projection of how I feel. And if they really do say something mean, well, then that's a projection of how they are feeling, not about me specifically. That's about them. And so I can feel bad for them. I can feel sorry for them that they are, that they're in a space that is so dark and so negative that the only way that they can release that pain is to dump it on someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, we absolutely should always assume positive intent, which is much easier said than done. Like I said, I don't handle the comments on the dog's YouTube channel because I get frustrated with them. But Smith is very good at reading them from a positive standpoint and from a like, oh, they just want to be educated standpoint, whereas I read everything as a personal attack, which is something I've been working on a lot this year. And so I'm getting to the point that I can do that. But for right now, it's still, I struggle with it.
But knowing that is also good, right? Recognizing where those struggles are can help you. Again, that goes back to knowing what your limiting beliefs are and where your chinks in your armor for your mindset are, so that you can actively work on them and shift them and change them. And it's not an overnight switch, right? For some people it is. Every so often you'll get something that totally flips it for you, and you're like, man, I never thought of that before. I did a lot of cognitive behavior therapy, and then also studied a lot of it with both my education in psychology, but also in my hypnotherapy, and with the training with that. And a lot of it was, I did so much of it that I remember one time it had been just a terrible, like, I don't know, year, 2 years. And everything was just dropping. And I was driving to work and it was just the worst. And I was like, can't do this anymore. And right away, like within a half a heartbeat, my brain really loudly said, yes, you can. You may not know exactly how at this particular second, but you absolutely can. And I'm like, who are you and where did you come from? But it was so loud, but it was because I had worked so much and done so much, education for myself, as well as actively implementing things, that when I really did feel like I was at my wit's end and I couldn't do another step and I could not make it anymore, my brain stepped in and said, yes, you can. You may not know exactly how, but you absolutely can. And it was like, okay, I needed that. I can actually go to work now and not cry the whole way.
Yep, and that's where gratitude and positivity really come into play, right? Like a lot of times when we say like think positively, people get this image of like, I need to be a cheerleader for myself and never tell myself anything bad and tell myself I'm great all the time. And that's not what it is, right? It's just putting a positive spin on things. So again, like going back to the comments, right? You can read a comment because tone of voice doesn't travel in text very well. No. So you can read a comment and be like, what the hell is this person's problem? Or you can read the comment and be like, okay, well, let me put myself in their shoes. They don't know, especially, again, going back to the dog sport stuff, like, oh, we'd never heard of bike journeying before we got the dogs. So a lot of people don't know what it is. So if they're saying like, what the heck is this? They might be saying, what is this? I love it. I want to get involved. Whereas I read it like, it negatively. And so practicing that gratitude, practicing that, setting it into a positive shift is beneficial in that sense. And again, you don't have to be the cheerleader of your brain, but you do have to at least acknowledge that if you tend to go the negative, there's a way to spin the positive, flip the script. And then gratitude as well just helps you be grateful for where you are now, especially on those days where it's like, why is it everything I touch turns to, BS instead of gold?
Yeah. I like to every so often do like a 10 things I'm grateful for. I used to do it every Thursday, actually. I'd have my Thankful Thursday and I do it every Thursday and I put it out there. And it was a reminder that, and for me, that was everything, for like all the small things, even something as simple as waking up above ground instead of below it, right? These are positive things. And the reality is cognitive bias allows us to only see what we're looking for. And we may not know that we're even looking for it, but it's the same as if you buy a new car, you got a Kia. Prior to that, you didn't see Kias anywhere. And all of a sudden now you see Kias everywhere, right? Once you've got that car, or you bought a certain color of car and now you see it everywhere. Your thoughts are the same, right? If you feel like everything is shit, you will seek out the things that confirm your beliefs. So if you seek out good things, positive things, things that are a little bit uplifting, like my coffee is great today. Very small, very simple, but that's a big shift between, my coffee was late today, right?
Yeah.
Or doesn't matter. What you decide to look at is what you're going to see. And it takes practice. It absolutely takes practice. You have to actively choose to sit back and just list off some things that were good. You know, if you're driving to work and it's sunrise and, you know, you don't really want to be going to work and it's a cold day and you had to scrape your car and everything else, but you're driving and the trees are all frosty and the sun is, you know, the sunrise is golden. That's your beautiful moment. You're here witnessing something that is absolutely beautiful. Take it in, enjoy that moment. There's a positive for your day, right?
Yeah, one of my favorite methods is Post-it notes in the bathroom on the mirror. So that you see them when you're getting ready, like just Post-it notes of goals or things you're grateful for or whatever you need it to be, or even just a, hey, you're beautiful, stop being so hard on yourself. Because I had that one up for a while too. You know, like you're more likely to remember something you've read than something you've thought. So, you know, ingrain it, burn it into your retinas on a daily basis, because then it's going to burn it into your brain.
My daughter, I guess she heard me one time. She was like 13 at the time. And I guess she must have heard me getting ready for work. And I was having a really bad fatitude, right? Like I was not nice to myself. And I was saying I was very unhappy at the moment or whatever. And yeah, it was verbal. So I get up to go to work for the next day. And there's a Post-it note on my mirror that says, "Mommy, you're beautiful." And I have it still. It's actually now on the fridge in here. It's with me like 6 times and everything else. And it's just like, because it was like such a sweet, and it was a good reminder to me, not only to be kind to me, but to know that what I'm putting out there is actually, I'm giving that belief to my daughter, which I never wanted her to have. Right. So it was, but yeah, the Post-it note thing was like, oh yeah, I love my Post-it note.
Love it. So with mindset shifts and whatnot, there's going to be change that comes, right? And change is the only constant in life, right? Like we used to joke at Amazon that the only constant in Amazon was change. And that's true for life. The only constant is change. And so many people are scared of change, which I never have been. So I've never really understood, but you're going to have to embrace change, right? As you shift your mindset, especially entrepreneurs, you're going to find that your friend circle changes.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, people gave Drake, I think it was, such a hard time about like, well, he doesn't hang out with any of the people that he hung out with before. And it was like, well, if their mindset is, you know, well, we were friends before, so you owe us, or anything like that, or just their own limiting beliefs are holding them back, it's hard to have conversations with those kind of people. Like when you are goal oriented and when you are making your life better, you got to cut off a lot of the negative. And unfortunately, sometimes that's people and places and relationships.
I think Kevin Hart was the same way. Like he really tried to hang on to his crew. But it just became really clear to him that not everyone was actually rooting for his success, number one. And number two, not everyone, I mean, a lot of them only cared about his success and what it could do for them, and not necessarily seeing him rise and those things and become a bigger and better person. And your social circle is going to change, in part because you're going to want to be around people who are going to lift you up.
Yeah.
And I mean, we say it all the time in this business. You'll see it everywhere. The people who hype you up the most often are strangers. Your friends and family are not the people who do it, which is kind of sad, but it's just a reality. Like your friends are less likely to buy from you. You like have a product-based business, they are less likely to buy from you. They're less likely to support you. Pardon me. And so you start to see who, and also, I mean, look around at your friends. Where are they at in their life? You know, and what is their beliefs? And is that going to help you getting where you want to go? Now, that doesn't mean that you have to completely cut them off, right? I mean, that's a choice that you have, but just recognize that your circle is probably going to change. And change can be scary, even just for change to succeed. That could be something that stops you, because what if I get what I want? Like, what is that going to look like for me? And it's not just about the house or the car or those kinds of things. What is this actually going to look like for me? For some people, they're afraid of how much work it's going to be. How is that going to impact my time? Am I not going to be able to play my video games anymore? Am I not going to be able to watch my favorite shows? And no, that's not true. You still will be able to. You're just going to have to factor your time in, right? And yeah, there are people out there, oh, you've got to cut out everything that's not, going to propel you forward. And that's a load of bullshit too. I mean, I guess if that's all you care about is making money, then yeah. But, if part of it is you want a new lifestyle or a better lifestyle, you still have to factor in your lifestyle into that, right? For some people, it's just being, that means I'm going to have to talk to people,
Yes, Donna, I know.
Not just you, Sunshine. But
Donna did give me a swift kick in the rear last week, and I needed it. I was very happy about it. But at the time, I was like, I don't want to hear that.
I know. But you know what? I'm telling myself the same thing. So I mean, you're not alone. I'm in the commisery with you. So a way that you can sort of embrace change in small steps is to make changes on your own that you've decided you're going to make, right? Start there, because big changes happen. You lose a job, you have to move, you've got an accidental new family member, or, maybe a parent suddenly needs to come and live with you. If you're older, all sorts of weird things can happen that you don't have control over. So if you want to try and get more comfortable with change, make changes that you're in control of, but give them the opportunity to uplift your life a little bit, to jiggle it up a bit. Don't plan for like 6 months and then make the change, but keep it small so that you can handle it.
Yeah.
No, my Sweetums is not big on change at all. And I'm like, my whole life has just been one big change. So
yeah. And that's where self-compassion comes in, right? If you're fostering that self-compassion for yourself, like you're going to be able to forgive yourself for the little transgressions. You're going to be able, like literally one of our mantras in our challenge is I allow myself to be imperfect. Because, we are constantly evolving and changing and trying to make ourselves better. At least we should be. And there's got to be some self-compassion that comes with it. And that goes back to what you were saying about looking back and going, whoa, you know what? I've got a long way to go, but look how far I've come.
Yep, absolutely. And appreciating those steps and be perfectly imperfect. I mean, that is exactly, that's important. And again, surrounding yourself with positive influences can help you with that, because I mean, think about how you talk to yourself, and then pause and think, would you ever say that to someone else?
Yeah.
Would you ever speak to someone else the same way that you speak to yourself? And if the answer is no, and there's no but in that, well, yeah, but no, unless they are, the absolute worst of society who is preying on children and old ladies and, that kind of stuff. The answer is no. You wouldn't talk to somebody that way. So don't do it to yourself, and surround yourself with positive influences who will also help give you that lift. Even if you're not directly connected with them, even if you're just following them for their content, allow that to sort of seep in for yourself a bit and lift you up when you need that extra boost, when you're feeling a little extra low. Reach out to the positive people in your life. Don't hate them. Because sometimes it's easy to get annoyed with the positive people in your life because they are positive. But, they're there to help you see the world in a different light. See your situation in a different light.
Yeah. And that's where like surrounding yourself with those positive people versus like inundating yourself with the news, right? So my dad told me a story one time of like he would come home and my mom would just be hysterical and crying and the world's going to end because she was just watching the news all day. And the news is a lot of negative stuff, especially nowadays, the media. Yeah. And so to get my news, I mostly get satirical news. So like I'll watch, Stephen Colbert, I'll watch Seth Meyers, like someone that puts a humorous spin on it. But I found that like I used to go down the rabbit hole of TikTok and I followed a lot of the creators that were picketing the pipeline or, making a stand for women's rights. And I went down this really negative spiral for a while. And I was like, I've got to stop. Like, I understand that it's my privilege that I can just turn this off. I'm like, but I have to because it's affecting me very badly. And so the same thing happens when you surround yourself with positive influences. Is like it starts to get in your head of like, oh no, I can do this. I actually can do this, but it just takes a lot longer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, because we're hardwired to see the negatives. You give a person a picture, 100 people in a little picture, and everybody's smiling except for one. In these tiny little faces, we will instinctively find that one that's not smiling because it is hardwired into our nature to do that. So we're going to do that. The next thing that we wanted to put on there was staying persistent and consistent.
Yeah, it's hard to do when you're in a negative mindset.
It is. It is.
I mean, where discipline versus motivation really comes in.
Yeah. And so trying to create a daily action plan for yourself and sticking to it. I mean, even if it's something as simple as, like they say, make the bed. I never have. I mean, every so often I do just because it's like, oh, that looks better. But mostly, no, I don't care about that. But if you have, whether it's, washing the dish you used at breakfast, or, you're putting your laundry in the laundry basket. It could be something as simple as that, or it could be big. It could be huge. Going to the gym every day at 5 a.m. That's could be a big thing, or tracking your sugar levels because, you have to do that to maintain your health. It doesn't really matter what it is, and it could be something as simple as getting in your 15 minutes of meditation or mindfulness.
Yes. Love it.
Try to be consistent. And if you drop a day, that's not the end of it, right? You didn't screw up so bad you can't get back on track. And if you lose a week, you still haven't screwed up so bad that you can't get back on track. And that's a big thing to remember, is that no matter how far off the path you got, if you really want to be on that path, you can always go back.
Yes, 100%. Stop beating yourself up over the little failures. Just take the lesson learned and readjust.
Yep.
Easier said than done, I know.
I know, but that's the whole point of mindfulness, right? It's a practice.
Yeah.
And the more you practice something, the better you get at it.
Yep. And part of mindfulness, and this is an area where I do struggle because I get so wrapped up into my business and whatnot, is being present in the moment and aware of the present moment. And I catch myself all the time where, like, with the dogs, I'm like, guys, I don't have time right now. Like, let me just do this one thing. And then I'm like, I'm literally building my business so I can have more time to play with my dogs. And I'm telling my dogs I don't have time to play. So then I'll have to stop and be like, okay, you know what? I do have 10 minutes. Let's go play tug of war. Let's go run around the backyard. And I'm really bad at it with my significant other, too, because, like, he'll be trying to talk to me. And I'm like, I am doing something. And he's like, you're always doing something. Well, you just take 30 seconds. And I'm like, I need to work on this.
Yeah. Another part of being present is it allows you to get out of catastrophic thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can easily get in the snowball the snowball effect of this isn't working, and then so that's not going to work, and then that's not, and the next thing you know, you're just tumbling into this whole catastrophic thinking. And if you can put yourself back into present, it's like, all of that hasn't happened yet. There is no guarantee that any of that is going to happen. So I need to stop, be present, and sometimes that's going outside and standing in the grass in bare feet. Sometimes that's going and taking a shower, or just running some, warm water over your hands, just something to take you out of where you are and put you back in the present. Look at your surroundings and say, I can breathe for a moment. Like, I'm just going to take a few breaths, bring myself back in. And what do I really need to think about or worry about right now? And do I need to worry about that right now? Or can I take 10 minutes to just be and enjoy my family, my pets, my cup of coffee? Just I take a moment to breathe. I don't need to do everything all at once now, right? It's just not necessary.
Yep. And that's where celebrating small successes can come in handy, right? We all want that big success, right? We all want to celebrate that $10,000 a month pay check, or that, whatever it might be. I don't know why 10,000 seems to be like 4,000 for me would be good. 4,000 a month, like, milestone, right? We all want to celebrate that. But it's so important to take the time and be like, hey, like, I had one last week where I previously had built out every single email sequence for my subscription as a separate workflow because I didn't know how to do the if then.
Yeah.
And then when I transferred it from one, or rebuilt it essentially from one sub account to another sub account, I figured out how to get all the email sequences on one page. And it's all this like really convoluted, complicated looking tree of workflows, but I figured it out and it works. And now I could just drop the email on the one page instead of having to go and then go back and go to the next one and go back and go to the next one. It's just all right there. And I was very happy about it. I like sent a screenshot to everybody else involved. It was like, hey, look what I figured out how to do.
That's
right?
huge though, right?
Yeah. And like, it's not, it's not payday huge, but it's getting the systems in place. And like, once you get your systems to work and then work your system. And
and your success is not going to all be monetary. When you're losing weight, they have what they call NSVs, which are non-scale victories.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't really matter what it is. Whatever it is, it's not always going to be your monetary value or something like that. It's going to be all those little steps that get you where you want to go. Maybe you just opened a new channel or a new platform and you just reached your first 100. That's huge, right? Yeah. Or your first video that gets beyond 50 views, also huge. Yeah. All those little things. And those are successes just as much as the big monetary successes. And so, because those minor successes, those smaller successes are ones that are your stepping stones. Those, that's what's paving your road to your big success. So,
yeah. And that's what's going to help motivate you to stay disciplined, to keep going.
Don't overlook them. Don't ignore them. And don't say, oh, well, but it's just this. It's not that. And it's,
And that's where surrounding yourself with the right mindset people comes in handy too, because oftentimes it's going to be the other people who are like, hey, no, like this is big. This is, and it'll help bring you out of that when you're just like, oh, it's not a big deal. And then somebody else is telling you, no, it is. It really is. That helps with your journey versus people who are like, I don't know what you're talking about. So can we change the subject?
Yep. And then lastly would be overcoming your fear of failure. Now, this is huge for everybody. We often put pride first. Instead of pride after the action, we put it before the action, and it stops us from doing things because what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? Well, what if the sky was purple and it rained gumdrops? What if, man?
Well, what if you succeed, right? Like, what if it works?
Well, but see, we're not geared for that, right?
I know. Positive shift, right?
But you know what? Again, what if it works? That can also be a fear thing, right? But so a quick and easy way to deal with that is to commit to implementing like one actionable point, for whatever it is that you're trying to do. Just do one thing and let it go forward. And then do another thing towards your goals, right? You just do one action at a time. Don't worry about the big thing. Just do one thing at a time and face that small fear instead of the big fear all at once. Yeah. Because like I was telling Claire the other day, so whether it's fears in your daily life or it's something that you have to sort of face that's from a past concern or it's business, your demons always look a lot bigger when they're chasing you, right? Yeah. And when you turn around and you face them head on and you go through them, a lot of times they're a lot smaller. And once you get on the other side, you're like, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And sometimes they are really big, but that's okay. It's much better to face them and deal with them than to have it chasing you. Because if they're chasing you, then it's just going to get bigger, right? That wall is just going to get bigger. Whatever's stopping you from getting where you want to go is just going to get bigger unless you face it and deal with it.
Yeah, we're so ingrained with our school system and everything that we're told when we're growing up that failure is a bad thing, and it's really not. I mean, failure is just a chance to learn from it, look at what worked, look at what didn't, and go from there, right? And that's why I say all the time, the people who succeeded are just losers who didn't quit. Because instead of getting frustrated with their failures, they learned from them and did something different. And that's easy to say when it's not something you're passionate about. If it's a project you're passionate about and it becomes clear that it's just not going to go anywhere, like that sucks. It 100% sucks. And you will feel like a failure because it's something that you really believed in. But you can still take the lesson learned and readjust and go from there.
Well, yeah. And I mean, maybe you learn something from within so that you can still be working with your passion, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Failure is generally, it's just like mistakes. They're opportunities to learn and grow, and if you look at it as an opportunity versus as a roadblock, then you're going to get a lot further along.
Yeah. And there's no report card for life. So stop worrying about it, right? Like I know that our school system ingrains us in a way that's terrible for success. I understand.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, no, because our school system was literally created by Industrial Revolution warehouse or manufacturing people who went, this works at work. It'd be great for our kids because it'll make them great workers. Memorize and regurgitate, man. No.
Yeah. Especially now. It's getting so bad where all they're teaching is just state standardized tests and crap. That's a whole other podcast episode. But yeah, like start talking nicely to yourself. Start shifting that mindset. Turn the what if into a positive and learn from your failures.
Yep. And surround yourself with some good people.
Yeah.
And just look around, figure out what it is, whatever your niche is. I mean, this is obviously for marketing, but whatever your interests are, where your niche is, try to surround yourself with people within that who are not necessarily like, the top dogs, but people who are positive, who are working forward, who are, who have some skills and who are great at helping other people, who want to lift them instead of push them down or fight to see them as competition, because we're not in competition. We're just not in competition with each other. We're here to help each other grow. So
yes. And that's one woman saying it to another woman. So ladies, stop tearing each other down.
We don't need to tear anybody down. Ladies,
no, we can all succeed.
Yes, I think it's a good idea. Any rate, so that is us for today. I hope that you enjoyed today's. If you are watching on replay, just drop a replay. And as always, if you have any questions, or if you want some support, or if you're looking for some good ways to update your mindset, by all means, reach us, contact us. Rose and I each have our own skill set. So reach out to either one of us and we'd be happy to help you. All right. Sure. See you next Friday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.